Firms urge EU lawmakers to speed up tokenized market rules before pilot limits slow real adoption. The tension is industry wants the DLT pilot handled separately instead of being trapped inside a longer reform package. The confirmed baseline is a 39-entity coalition called for standalone DLT pilot changes, including a proposed €150 billion testing cap. That makes this less about policy paperwork and more about pilot scope. The anchor number is 39 firms, while €150 cap shows the scale already visible. That keeps the opening question tight. Can EU DLT move past standalone act without the story outrunning its evidence? A viewer who only sees policy paperwork misses why 2023 launch and license limits define the risk range. The baseline matters because the DLT pilot lets firms test blockchain-based trading and settlement for assets such as stocks and bonds under controlled exemptions. This gives viewers the frame before reacting to the headline. The useful split is what is already visible versus what still needs confirmation. Without that frame, EU DLT can look simpler than it is. The second marker is 2023 launch, because that is where the story starts to become measurable. If that point is ignored, the headline can sound stronger than the confirmed facts allow. That baseline also explains why license limits belongs in the setup rather than the conclusion. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. The mechanism is straightforward. The mechanism is regulatory timing. If rule changes wait for a wider package, licenses, asset scope, and caps remain constrained. That mechanism changes how risk is read because the next move depends on structure, not emotion. For EU DLT, the stress point is pilot scope, and the practical signal is standalone act. In plain English, viewers should ask whether the process behind the event is actually working. A headline can attract attention, but the mechanism decides whether the attention creates a durable change. The mechanism ties 39 firms to 2023 launch, so the next reaction is not random. The affected side is Nasdaq, and anyone using the story as a risk signal. Exchanges, custodians, and asset managers could shift tokenized market activity toward jurisdictions with faster rulemaking. That consequence matters because it can change behavior before a final outcome is known. The immediate read is tied to €150 cap, not broad market talk. The scope should stay narrow. The story reaches the people, protocols, traders, or institutions closest to pilot scope. It does not automatically prove a wider market outcome. Bauer Stuttgart also matters here because it shapes the route from pilot scope to actual decisions. The open question is narrow. The EU has not yet decided whether to carve out the pilot. Investor protection and cross-border supervision remain active concerns. This is where speculation has to stop. A claim is useful only if it connects to standalone act or another confirmed signal. Until then, the story is a pressure test, not a settled result. The unresolved side matters because it prevents viewers from treating a setup as a guarantee. The better read is to keep the confirmed facts separate from the missing proof. The proof has to appear in standalone act, not just in repeated claims about EU DLT. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. For firms urge EU, the next signal is whether EU institutions separate the pilot reform and expand licenses beyond short testing windows. That is the point where the story moves from setup to confirmation. If that signal fails, the safer read is that pilot scope has not held. If it arrives, EU DLT gets a clearer path forward. The close is practical. Remember standalone act, compare it with license limits, and judge the next move only when the evidence changes. That is why the final read stays tied to 2023 launch, license limits, and standalone act.